I bought the Madam Walker estate in 1993 and recently sold it with a lot of caveats attached. When you live in a home like Villa Lewaro, which you appreciate the history, you appreciate the lady that built that home, you appreciate the architect, Vertner Tandy, and his history. Vertner Tandy was the architect of the villa. He's listed as the first licensed architect in New York State, and technically he was the second licensed architect, black, in New York State. And Madam was a woman with racial pride extraordinaire. She had a black attorney. Her people that worked for her were of her own race, and she had a lot of a family around her at all times, and they worked for her, and they were very much a part of her business and a part of her life. And she died very young, too young, and she died in the villa, in the master bedroom, a bedroom that she designed, and she used the finest interior designers in the world to advise her. She had Persian rugs. She had a gold leaf piano in the music room. Madam died when she was 51 years of age. She had only been in the house less than 2 years. She died of high blood pressure and took ill while she was traveling the country. And Madam did not believe in segregation. And she would not sit in a segregated rail car. She had her own rail car that she attached to a train, locomotive, the railroad company would attach her car to the train where she was headed. And when she got sick, she was transported back, and they made a special stop for Madam to be removed from the train and taken to her home, and she died shortly thereafter. When I was a young man, I'd heard of Madam Walker and her history. I'd heard that she was the first self-made millionaire in America, that's white or black, according to the Guinness Book of Records. And I was always fascinated with her story. She was a fellow Louisianian. She started her own business and was extremely successul. There was only one home I ever had an interest in owning, and that was Madam's estate. And what I did in that regard, when I was 21 years of age, I was in school and training to be an investment banker in New York. And I got on the train and came up and just walked around the estate. I did not go in. And I said, one day I will own this place. And 25 years later, I was fortunate enough to buy it and to move in with my family. The history of Villa Lewaro is really in very large measure a history of Black America. You name important people of the day, and they visited the villa. The president of Liberia stayed at the villa when he came to the United States. A. Philip Randolph and Marcus Garvey. Madam was one of the original contributors to Marcus Garvey and his efforts. She was the biggest contributor at the time to the NAACP, which Villa Lewaro was left to the NAACP in her will. Also, W.E.B. Du Bois, I mentioned his son-in-law, Cunty Cullen, was a frequent visitor to the villa. Langston Hughes, the poet, Cunty Cullen, whose real name was James Samuel Carter Jr. of New Orleans. And he lived on Dryad Street in New Orleans, and his father was a dentist. He lived directly across the street from the YMCA. She was also the largest contributor to Bethune-Cookman College. She was a personal friend of Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington visited the house on several occasions. Booker T. With Irvington being as wealthy a community as it was, he actually would make yearly visits to raise money and would speak at the Presbyterian Church and the Episcopal Church in Irvington. Madam was born in Delta, Louisiana, right across the river from Vicksburg, Mississippi. And her parents died shortly after her birth. She moved with her sister to Vicksburg. Her sister was a laundress. She became a laundress there. And Madam was shrewd. She was a thinker. She realized that she needed more money, more business as a laundress. So what she would do would be she would iron her dresses very stiff, and it would be bleached very white, and she would walk with her laundry that she was taking back to the women that who she had just ironed for. And the women of Vicksburg would stop her on the street and ask her to do their laundry. And that was marketing. You know, Madam was married very early as a teenager, had a daughter. So she had, her husband died before she was 20. She was widowed, so she was on her own. She then moved to St. Louis. She met and worked for Annie Malone in St. Louis, where she learned business at the highest level for an African American, and especially for an African American woman. She was very active in the AME church. She learned business skills through courses that she took at the church in St. Louis. She then moved to, which was an unusual move, you would think at that time, to Denver, Colorado. And she lived and worked in the home of a pharmacist. And Madam told the tale, again, marketing genius. She, when asked about where did she get her formula, she said, in a dream one night, a big black man, God, came to me and gave me the formula. Well, it is speculated that this pharmacist that she lived with in Denver actually decomposed Annie Malone's Poro product, and that was the basis of Madam's formula and her business. But Madam, as I said, had these Louisiana roots, and she was an inspiration to those around her. What you're doing at the museum is God's work. I mean, you're doing what has to be done for black folks to understand who they are, why they are, and from whence they came. And you know, if Madam is a symbol, good, let us use that symbol. Let us try to emulate her and you know, emulate her success, her hard work. You know, if you're a musician or a scholar or a scientist, all of that makes up who we are and from whence we came.